Most writers think if enough people see their book, it will eventually sell. Well, that belief is killing your book sales, and you'll die broke if you don't abandon that false idea. Because every day you spend chasing exposure, your book is quietly dying. No traction, no momentum, no sales. Adding insult to injury is the huge scammer industry ready to take your book promotion money. They happily take it for exposure, but they never guarantee sales, do they? No. You sit there refreshing dashboards, questioning if your cover is good enough, tweaking blurbs, and you wonder why the numbers never move. What's actually happening is this: books are not sold on exposure. It's something else. Want to break free and sell books? Well, you can when you realize this strange counterintuitive fact. Readers don't find you. You find them. Here's how. Buried by exposure. Welcome, I'm D.L. Hughes from VelocityWriting.com. The first trap, well, it's believing your problem is invisibility. It usually isn't. Your real problem is that no one has a reason to care yet. And I know, ouch, that sounds brutal because it is brutal, but it's also useful. Because once you stop worshiping exposure, you can stop paying scammers and others to pretend they're helping you. Think about who always sells a lot of books. Celebrities, politicians, sports stars, they sell books. Not because they discovered some magical ad technique. It's because people already feel attached to them in some way. Readers buy the book as an extension of a relationship that already exists, on some level. Even a book as old and culturally dominant as the Bible continues to sell because it does not merely offer information. It offers a relationship with God, meaning, identity, belonging. That is the mechanism. The book is rarely bought because it appeared. A book is bought because it mattered before it appeared. And that changes the whole frame. Because now the question is not, how do you get more exposure? The new question is, who already feels some connection to me, my subject, my voice, my promise, or my world? That is a much better question, and it leads somewhere useful. Because once you see that books are sold on relationship, not exposure, one ugly truth comes into focus. A broad audience is usually a fantasy, and the narrower truth is what starts saving you. Find readers with a pulse. The second trap is writing first and identifying readers later. That feels so cool, artistic. It's pure. It feels like the work should speak for itself and attract people. But when you get no or low sales, you begin to ask, who is this even for? Broad targeting doesn't work no matter how special you or your book may be. If you want to sell books, you need to know who is most likely to read your book before you write it. If you intend to sell books, this is the most important thing to know. You cannot write for everyone. You must find a specific cluster of people with a shared desire, fear, frustration, or obsession. Hang on to that idea. Never let it go. Most writers start with foggy ideas about their readers. Everyone's going to buy my book. But no, not everyone. Not book lovers, not women in the 25 to 65 demographic, not people who like good stories. That is not an audience. That's a fog. No pulse here. You need a niche with a pulse. The next stage is the traction stage. You find bodies, but they have no pulse. Don't stop there. To have a pulse, your readers must be very narrowly defined. A specific cluster of people, like I said, with a shared desire, fear, frustration, aspiration, or obsession. For example, if you write historical mysteries, maybe it's not mystery readers you're looking for. Maybe it's readers obsessed with Tudor intrigue, amateur sleuth heroines, and atmospheric settings. You must go deeper to find the pulse of your reader if you intend to sell your book. If you write nonfiction about resilience, for example, maybe it's not for everyone facing hard times. Maybe it's for a narrow group, like burned out professionals leaving high control careers. A narrow group. Drill down. Find the center of your target. Everyone is no one, but smaller is stronger. Your behavioral constraint is simple. Define one reader community before you chase one sale. Yes, one, not 5, not all possible markets. You're seeking the one living group of people most likely to say, hey, this was written for me. Because people respond when they feel recognized. When you refuse to define your reader in very strict terms, you sentence yourself to constant disappointment. You hang on to the horrible illusion that your book will miraculously go viral without any effort on your part. The narrow constraint feels restrictive. It is, and that's why it works. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Because once you identify the living readers, the ones with a pulse, you can finally answer the next dangerous question. Who do you already know that touches that community? Ignite your network. Writers often dream of discovery by strangers. That's magical thinking. It's great for writing, but deadly for selling. The dream is seductive because it protects you from the awkward truth. Your first sales usually come through existing relationships, not internet magic. This is how it works in the real world. You are the center. You begin with family and friends, not because they're your forever market, but because they're in your first circle of trust. Then you move outward, workmates, clients, former colleagues. Then move to the next level of influence, professional associations, church groups, civic organizations, your community at large. Anyone with even a tangential relationship to you is closer to a sale than a cold audience ever will be. This is where a lot of writers recoil, because now the issue is not marketing, it's visibility. But you want to write a book and stay hidden. You want the work to go out while you remain untouched. But the wallflower fantasy kills book sales. Hey, if you're getting fresh insight from this, please subscribe, because most writing advice is about craft or promotion, and almost nobody tells you the uncomfortable middle truth that readers buy through connection. Connection requires your presence, not performance, not fake charisma, presence. If you're unwilling to be present to your readers, you're better off opening a home for stray cats. Writing requires presence. Once a person has relationship with individuals within a narrowly defined group, they enhance that with book signings, speaking engagements, TV or podcast interviews, public appearances, the old-fashioned media junket. You can't be a wallflower. You must reach out to readers in a relational way if you intend to sell your book. Exposure to a wide audience won't help. Expose your book to a narrow audience of interested people if you want to get sales. Now, there's not enough margin in books, to support someone else to do it for you. You must be proactive to sell your own book, and here's an effective way to do that. Have a home. Here's something that can rock your book sales world. You want to have a place to meet and build relationships. That means you need an author website. A website blog allows you to shift from the exposure mindset to the connection mindset. You may wish to pause and study this matrix because it is life and death to authors. This is the hard idea to grasp. Social media is not enough. We've all been brainwashed about that. It's like panning for gold with wild dreams of hitting it big. Here's the golden rule. You want to use social media to drive people to your site where you can meet them, build a relationship, and let them know where to buy your book. And of course, the other books you haven't written yet. You never want your site to drive people to your social media. A simple blog can do more for you than a pile of shady marketing promises because its real purpose is not traffic. Its purpose is relationship. A blog lets readers hear you regularly. It lets them trust your voice. It lets them see what you care about and to find a connection for themselves. And most importantly, it lets you collect email addresses. Gathering email addresses of people attracted to your work is how you build ongoing relationships. That list is not just a list. It is proof of ongoing permission to keep a relationship going with your fans. A reader who gives you an email address is saying, hey, you're free to contact me anytime. Well, that is relational capital. So here is one specific action. Create a simple home base, a blog, a website. If that's a mystery to you, see the link in the description to see how I can help you create a professional author website quickly and inexpensively. You need that place your readers can consistently return to and feel acknowledged. It does not need to be fancy. Once you get them there, you use one rule. Every piece of visibility must deepen a relationship. Here's a circle of life for writers. Know your niche so you know your people. Nah, it's not there to impress strangers, chase the vanity metrics, spray your link into the void. It's there to deepen relationships. That means you write posts for your niche. Let the people into your life. Connection first, sales second. You invite email signups. Yeah, that's true. You may even offer an insider gift like an unpublished story to motivate them to sign up. You speak to the people most likely to care. You stop acting like random exposure is success, because it isn't. Sales follow trust. Trust follows repeated contact. Repeated contact follows deliberate relationship. You are not trying to be seen by everyone. You are trying to become known by the right people, your people. That is how you escape the grave of no sales. Since you've already written a book, you already have the skills to build a website. But if you think you can be a wallflower and still move books, you have already killed your chances. You're wasting your time as a writer, and you might be better off doing something else. Stop hiding. Start connecting. Hey, please watch the next video to learn more about writing success. Have a great writing day.